Welcome back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Last time, well, a lot of significant things happened last time. We fought our own former ally, we fought the Dawn Brigade with the Grail Mercenaries and pretty much gave them a sound thrashing. Ike fought the Black Knight, but was not strong enough to actually defeat him at this point. And Soren also fought Micaiah. Both of these are going to be necessary for unlocking additional scenes later in the game, so remember those conversations. Now, we move on. What's our next step now that we've broken through the Dayan blockade?
The diversion created by the Grail Mercenaries allows the Lagoon's alliance to slip successfully past the Dayan army's blockade. Yet General Zelgius and his central army show no mercy and continue their relentless pursuit of the Lagoon's alliance. The weakened alliance is forced to a hard choice. They must pass through the northern edge of the Serenus forest. From there, they will try to make their way to a hidden road that will lead them out of Benyon and back to Gallia.
Alright, Zelgius and the Central Army are still here. Almost forgot about them. This chapter is kind of interesting. Apparently there are a lot of people who really hate this map, but I've never really found it that bad. So we're back in Serenus Forest after so long. We even have a similar background to the one we had after the forest was restored. The whole secret passage thing is actually a little bit weird, considering that Path of Radiance established that there was no direct path from Gallia into Benyon, so that we had to go back into Crimean territory and get a boat and do the whole sea voyage. It feels a little bit weird to be suddenly mentioning the secret passage now, though I always personally thought the secret passage actually referred to this other thing that's mentioned in this chapter, but apparently they're different things, and that raises a lot of issues. And besides, we don't want to deal with a 4-part chapter where every part except part 4 is incredibly boring. Nope, never going through that again. But I do like the fact that they're respecting, yeah, let's not start a fight in Serenus Forest. This place is only just healed, we don't want it to be destroyed again. Plus, Racent would probably kill us if we did that. So, the Kalku Caves. I actually thought that this was the secret passage they were referring to. And if it is, it makes sense why they didn't use it in the last game. So, those caves are full of lava. And there are 2 exits, one of them leads to Goldoa and the other to Gallia. Unfortunately, we have no idea which exit is which. So, going in there would be a bad idea. It's not good to get lost in a complex of lava caves. But it seems like we might not have a choice. You know, the whole lose your pursuers by running into an asteroid belt strategy. There's no way they're gonna pursue us into the lava caves, right? Well, you know Fire Emblem, I said in the last game that we had the obligatory ship chapter, but not the obligatory lava chapter? They were saving the obligatory lava chapter for this one. So, it's lava time. They must have been really close to see us do that. But I guess we want them to see us do that, so they'll know where we went and won't pursue us. Oh no. The interrupting generic villain music, you know what that means. This is not one of the senators, though one of the senators who didn't appear in the last game. Considering that this guy, and yes, that's a guy, I like to consider him the distant ancestor of Excellus, but considering that this guy is actually a semi-major villain from this point on. I'm surprised that he doesn't first appear until now. And yes, he has an annoying signature laugh. It's actually kind of similar to Legion's, but he predated Legion by a while. Oh no, this is not gonna end well for you. Though what doesn't end well for Bednion is good for us. It's so weird how his sprite doesn't even move when he's laughing. The ventriloquism laughter. Seems like anyone in Bednion who is not Zelgius has absolutely no grasp of how to command an army. Oh yeah, we're gonna throw our troops into this lava cave for no reason. Unfortunately, Zelgius has no choice but to obey this guy. I guess it's not just Ranulf who's constantly surrounded by idiots. I really like this artwork of the cave entrance. And we go straight to the base. We need to prepare a little bit before we head in there. So, first things first, gonna check out info. We've got 2 info conversations here. I find it interesting how the conversation itself is called wounded, but they describe them as injured here. There's actually some dialogue that relates to this, only in the extended script. Ranulf actually offers to carry Soren on his back, and then Soren's like, yeah, no. Looks like Skrymmir's injuries really are that bad, and he's just putting on a brave face. And I'm sure Soren also knows, because he pretty much knows everything. And that's all we get out of that one. This conversation requires both Leth and Lyre to be alive, and it gets you a fairly decent reward. And more being Tsundere. Makes me wish that these two actually interacted more, because seeing Tsundere's siblings interact is always funny. I'm trying to think if there are any other Tsundere siblings in the series, but, even if Severa's sibling is Morgan, Morgan doesn't act Tsundere at all, so... Daunt was a skill formerly exclusive to Ashnard and Dayan's 4 riders. Not anymore, we can actually use it ourselves now. And they're back to being Tsundere at each other. So, to sum up that conversation, Tsundere, 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 Tsundere. Yeah, that was a mouthful. So we have the Daunt scroll now. It does the exact same thing it does in Path of Radiance. It reduces the hit and critical percentage of anyone within 3 spaces of you, well, any enemies within 3 spaces of you. No, this is not Tearing Saga, it's not the Mug skill. I hate that skill so much. For those who don't know, that skill actually lowers the hit rates of your allies massively. It's incredibly frustrating. But anyway, yeah, lowers the hit and critical percentage of enemies within 3 spaces by 5. It combos very well with a double Earth support and Provoke. So, in the shop, we actually don't have very much in bargains, just 1 Olivigrass. Kind of weird. They're selling pure water now. The armory is also no longer selling bronze weapons. That just sort of goes in and out, and it looks like they're not selling that many bows either. I'm sure they used to sell longbows. So maybe now is the chapter when I should have forged a weapon, but anyway. Gonna go to support because, yes. Finally, yes. I can stop using Void now. So that's good. I might still use Mist a bit. I mean, she is at least a healer. But, yeah, Mist level is just so... Yeah, they really nerfed the experience that Staves give, and due to Mist counting as a second tier, makes her very hard to bonus experience up as well. So, yeah, it is pretty hard to get Mist promoted in this game. Kind of like that, to at least give her more movement, but I can't actually promote her early until part 4 anyway. So, items. I think Ike is still fine. Ranulf is still fine. Soren is still fine. Actually, Soren can use Mend now. Maybe I should actually take a Mend staff. Although, you know, it's probably more effective to have Mend on the character with less magic. Mist is fine. Do I have any Restore staves at all? Yeah, no, I don't. Rolf is, I'm pretty sure, also mostly fine. Not going to be using Void anymore, so I might as well convoy his stuff. Nephany. Yeah, let's get rid of that, and let's give you... anything decent that... I guess I can take another Steel Lance. Because Nephany, I'm actually going to third tier her with bonus experience in the base here. Oh yeah, you have Wild Heart. I should probably use that on either one of you. Har is... I think Har's fine, actually. Haven't actually shown Har's Dragon Lord stats, but here they are. Also, he now has this skill, which is enemy instantly dies. Still doesn't really have a lot of capacity, though. You have Daunts. Okay, as for Mia, yeah, her Wind Edge is really run down. There's a reason why I bought so many of those earlier. I will not be needing that at all, so let's go ahead and just take another Wind Edge. Those Wind Edges are probably enough to satisfy me for the rest of the game, actually. And now Manage, let's do Award Experience first. I don't think I'll bonus experience up Ike here. There's plenty of time to do that before Part 3 is over, and he's not really the highest priority for me right now. What actually is the highest priority for me, though, is this. And third tiering Nephany is going to be interesting, because there's actually a PAL version change here. Also... Oh, we're still outside the cave, that's good. It'd be kind of funny if we suddenly... we're showing the inside of the caves just for this. I love the huge shield there, although she's not really wearing that much protective in her lower region, and we're going into a lava cave. That's pretty impractical. Anyway, this class is called Sentinel in the American version. For some reason, they changed it to Lancer in the PAL version. I don't really know why. Except that in the opening class role, it actually is called Lancer, even in the American version. But in the European version, there's also an error, because look at this. Yeah, the Mastery skill still calls it Sentinel. Inconsistencies, yay. But yeah, Impale is kind of stupid. It's skill percent and it does 4 times damage, so it also looks really cool, so we'll be seeing that eventually. But yeah, Nephany's stats now are really, really great overall. And yes, Lancers are legendary Lancers, who would have thought? So anyway, who else gets the bonus experience? I think for now, actually, I'm going to be raising Rolf to 99. Like I really should have done in the last chapter. At least I managed to get Har promoted. Not going to be leveling up Har at all, because he's pretty much fine the way he is. I guess I can level up Gatry, and I guess Mia as well. And Mia is also stuck at just gaining magic skill, magic luck and resistance. Her luck is getting really high, actually. And I don't have enough to level up anyone else. Well, level them up one more, which means they're probably not hitting 3rd tier during this chapter. Probably going to have to wait until the next time the Grail Mercenaries appear, which is usually the time that I get a lot of 3rd tiers. So things are working out pretty much the same way as they do in most of my playthroughs, except now I have Mia. I usually don't have Mia at this point trained. But yeah, I normally have Nephany and Har in 3rd tier by 3-8. So anyway, I could level up Ike once, but I think it's best if I just save the rest of this bonus experience. Now, skills. I'm going to go ahead and put Corrosion back on someone. But maybe now I could... Let's actually give it to Shinnen, because I might use Shinnen in this chapter. As for everyone else, I may want to keep... you know what? This chapter really benefits from Raisin chanting, and I will actually remember to bring Raisin this time. So let's go ahead and give you Celerity. Also, giving Raisin Dawn is pretty funny. Its Japanese name is Horrify or Terror, so it implies the enemies are scared of a heron if you give them that skill. Actually giving this to either Mia or Gatry. Actually, probably Mia. So that makes her even less hittable than she was before. And I think that's pretty much fine on skills for us for now. Oh, actually, no, I could give Jennifer Ulki Wild Heart. Which of the two do I want to have Wild Heart? Well, Ulki does have the massive evasion. Maybe he'll take it. Oh, yeah, and Lagoos other than herons. So, obviously, herons can't use Wild Heart because that would be kind of cheap. So, I think that is pretty much good. Supports are done. Is there anything that I can buy? How is Mia doing in terms of steel blades? I was thinking of making another forge weapon, and then I realized I'm a little low on cash right now. I might want to save that for later. So, I don't think there's really that much left to do. Let's move out into the lava caves. Yep, here we are. Obligatory lava chapter. And guess who's back? Why do I always get stuck with these awful missions? I should have curried favor with General Zelgius. Then perhaps I wouldn't have had to step into these ghastly caves. I feel really bad for this guy. Yeah, of course they'd assign him to this job. Well, it's about 38 if I remember right from checking the status screen here. No, they're not. In fact, they're all terrified and they're all like, why did we get assigned to this? Definitely helps. We would all die horribly if he was leading things. So, it makes it seem like this is another Stall the Enemy chapter. This is actually a route chapter. Okay, just like last time, I'm going to go over the map now because, not because this chapter is going to be particularly long, but because there's actually a very long cutscene right after it ends. So I'm going to need to save time for that. Anyway, this is a route map. We have a whole ton of enemies, and it being a route chapter is why I really like having Raisin here, because being able to refresh 4 characters is immensely useful in route chapters. That means you're killing a lot more things per turn. So, a whole ton of enemies here. The main gimmick of this map is these little scorched areas. If you're standing on one of them at the beginning of the enemy phase, and there are some enemies that already start standing on those areas, so they'll demonstrate it. It's kind of like a classic video game anti-piece there. But yeah, they'll demonstrate it when the first enemy phase begins. If you're standing on these, you take 10 damage. Classic lava chapter there. As for the enemies here, we have a ton of generals, so not having a hammer on a heart might be a bit of an issue, but generals, honestly, considering that I have some 3rd tier characters, they're not really that hard to kill. Speaking of generals, we have the boss. Septimus is lucky to have Earth Affinity, though it's kind of wasted on him. Finally, we actually had to fight Septimus. I don't know if you can ever, like, scout far enough in the Fog of War to actually... to actually see this guy's stats in 3 Prologue, but here are his stats now. Silver Great Lance is pretty impressive, and you can steal a pure water from him if you want, but it's not like that's really necessary. He's pretty standard, he's not really that hard of a boss, and he has no means of range attack at all, so that's something. He does have 2 druids nearby though, some of the few druids in the entire game. Also have a healer near him. And usually when Septimus and his group of guys are attacked, they tend to run back down into the corner and turtle around each other. That's at least what I tend to find. So as for the other enemies, there isn't really all that much of note. There is a drawable crossbow on one of the warriors. That guy's a storm sword. That guy's a longbow, so he's a little harder to kill on counterattacks. There are quite a few mages here. A couple of vulneraries to steal if you want to. Yeah, there we go. This guy's a drawable crossbow. Because it's a route chapter, we're guaranteed to get that, which is nice. So, all in all, really, this is not that bad of a chapter. Like, there's a lot of people that really hate this chapter, but I just don't find it that difficult at all. But then again, I usually have Nephany and Har promoted by now. So, we actually have 12 deployment slots here, which is good. So, finally, I'm so sorry, Boyd, goodbye. Don't want you anymore. And let's obviously put Grayson in. And let's see, we are bringing Janeth and Ulki, but I really only need one of them for this chapter. I think I'll actually bring Ulki because he's from Wildheart, and then I'll go for, I could try and steal something with Heather, or I can bring Shinnen and see if he does better than Rolf here. Because Rolf did okay in the last chapter, but still not great, and he's still very, very behind. I'd like for him to be 3rd tier before this part is over. And I usually like my character. I generally have a 3rd tier Shinnen before the next Grail Mercenary chapter, so not having a 3rd tier Shinnen is going to be a bit of a problem. So, who goes where? Let's see, I think... This map kind of just funnels you down there. It's just a couple of branching pathways. But I guess the area here is wider. I think I'll send Gatry and Mia this way. I suppose I'll have one 3rd tier per half. So Nephany will head down this way, while Har heads down the other way. I sometimes like bringing Titania here too, but let's see if Mia and Shinnen pick up Titania's sniper, because I don't usually have Rolf here, usually I just have Shinnen as my sniper. And then you can half shift. I probably should send Rayson this way because I have more powerful characters over there. And I think this is looking like a pretty good setup. So let's save, and then it's time for things to get heated. Yeah. I'm sorry, I really hate puns. I really shouldn't have said that, but I can't take it back now.